Good evening, everyone. This is Josh Verlin and Aaron Bracey of PhilaHoops.com, live from the Leah Corr Center, after we watched the Temple Owls defeat the George Washington Colonials 79-72. We all came into this game pretty much expecting a Temple blowout, but Aaron, George Washington took control of this game early and didn't let go for a while.
Yeah, Josh, it was crazy. The first half, George Washington raced out to a 41-29 lead, and they still held a 10-point lead with 5 minutes left and looked like a real upset was possible. And then Temple just went on a crazy run 22-5 over the last 5 minutes. Khalif Wyatt scored 14 of the 22 points. And the Owls really showed what they're made of in the last 5 minutes and really why they are the best team in the Atlantic 10. A lot of toughness down the stretch. And, their experience really came through, Josh, in the end. And as Fran Dunphy says, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and Temple showed that today.
Wyatt didn't get the start tonight. He was held out in place of Will Cummings. What did you see from him differently from the first half towards the end of the game?
He looked completely out of sorts early on. I mean, he was forcing shots. He was committing turnovers that we rarely see from Khalif Wyatt. And finally there, late in the game, it looked like he was more like the player we've seen this year, who was not only one of the best players in the city, but one of the best players in the A-10 this year. Took over the game really down the stretch, Josh, with an assortment of drives and shots, and he also played good defense against GW. So really displayed why he is such a good player and why Temple really has a chance to go far this year.
Both Ramon Moore and Khalif Wyatt talked about Tony Taylor for George Washington. He came into the game, their leading scorer, only got 7 points, fouled out. How big of a loss was he for George Washington when he fouled out?
It was a big loss because he's their leader, he's their go-to guy. When they needed a point down the stretch, they didn't really have that guy who really knows how to get a bucket, can score a bucket in traffic or even from outside. And it was a big loss for GW. You saw them, like the last stretch, down the stretch, the last 5 minutes, they really struggled offensively. A big reason why was Temple, but a big reason why was the lack of Taylor in the game.
It seems for Temple, when they're struggling on offense, it's not really their offense that's the problem. It seems like it's their defense.
Yeah, it was shocking to see GW score 41 points in the first half because Temple is so strong defensively, especially on the perimeter, and it just wasn't there in the first half. And like they said afterward, you're going to have some games like that where your defense isn't that strong. Maybe, the quality of the opponent, they weren't up for this game. Maybe the crowd wasn't into it in the beginning, the early start. There are a lot of different factors. But ultimately, it comes down to what you do at the end, and they really showed why they are such a good team.
When Temple got Mike Urich back and healthy, everybody sort of assumed that, Temple would be the team they would be from now until the end of the season. We're seeing tonight that they've still got a few kinks to work out, and it was Anthony Lee, not Mike Urich, who was in there at the end of the game.
Well, clearly they have a lot of kinks to work out. Mike Urich had some nice plays early on, a couple of nice rebounds, but, they can't play like this Saturday night or else they're going to lose to Xavier, and they definitely can't play like this down the stretch or else they're not going to make any kind of run, not only in the NCAA tournament, but I don't think they can play to the A-10 final if they play like they did tonight. But I don't think they're going to play like this tonight. They didn't play their best, but you know what? They still came out with the win. That's the most important thing.
Definitely. Temple shot just 32% in the first half. They did come back for the win. 22 points from Khalif Wyatt, 25 from Ramon Moore, and Temple comes away with the 79-72 victory. For Aaron Bracey of PhilaHoops.com, I'm Josh Verlin. Have a good night, everybody.